Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about the Amazing Race 33, episode 6, I think we're on.
We are on episode 6,
Yeah.
y'all. We are headed to France. It's
Mm.
beautiful, of course, and honestly, some of my favorite challenges. But first, before we get too into it, if you are new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And support us on Patreon,
Ooh.
patreon.com/nerdtainment. Very affordable, very fun. We've got a great community. Join us over there.
When you think Nerdtainment, think affordable fun.
Yeah, truly. Yeah.
That's what that sounded like. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us live as usual. Now, right at the top of this episode, Sarah, we are seeing that chartered plane for the first time.
Yay!
Beautiful, flying private, luxurious.
It was fun. It made me want to get on a chartered flight. Let's go.
And they're all seated together. Like it's this huge plane. And those producers are like, just for the shot, if we could just get you all in the seats just right here, and then you'll like cheer to the camera, and then you can spread out for the rest of the flight.
Yeah, is that what it was? I was like, are we pretending like we want to all sit together and talk? Like,
right. No.
I want to stretch out and take a nap is what I want to do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it is a chartered flight to destination unknown at first.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't pick up on that part.
Okay. Phil was all like, destination unknown. You bet you want to know where you're going. Get on there. But when they finally arrive, we are in the French island of Corsica.
Yes.
And guess what? It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. Again, they're just picking the most remote parts of Europe that are like beautiful, like no pollution, no people. It's just fabulous.
But they're doing these amazing tasks. So I'm so excited. I'm like not missing busy cities yet. Maybe I will eventually, but so far a new.
I was missing them a little
bit.
Are you missing it? But we'll get into it. But I do want to point out that right at the top, they are building up how good Dusty and Ryan are, right? Everybody's like, oh, those bros, those dudes, those guys, like, oh, they are so good at everything. Like, how are we going to keep up with them? Yeah.
Which we had the preview last week where we know they're going to have at least a little bit of trouble. We were debating if it was really a real tease, but they're laying it on thick here at the top. So we know something's coming up here.
Right.
With our Ryan and Dusty. And they're going to be in our group 1. We have 3 groups leaving. Group 1 is the first 2 teams. So that is the dudes and the twins. Yay.
Yes.
And then we also see group 2, which is our Holderness, our flight attendants, and Sherry and Akbar are in this group.
And did you notice? So they like meet at that ancient Roman bridge, which I was like, are they going to jump off this bridge? Thank God.
I mean,
but they rip the clue open, right? And they're running off. And I heard Akbar go, slow and steady, slow and steady. And I was like, I could have sworn I've heard that before. Oh, it was on leg 1 where you told Sherry that slow and steady does not win the race.
I wrote that down too. Yes, very interesting that all of a sudden we have like a callback, as they would call it in comedy, of like slow and steady.
Yep. And maybe they had a talk, maybe Sherry was like, can you just go with me on the slow and steady thing? It's what's going to get me through. And he was like, you know what, Sherry, I can get on board with that, slow and steady for the rest of the race.
Sure. They had 19 months to figure it out, talk about it. And they decided, actually slow and steady is the way we're going to go. Also, though, Kim is a new Kim, she says.
New Kim, yes.
She wants to have fun. And honestly, I hadn't noticed. She seemed like she was having fun, but I guess deep down she was stressed and maybe not enjoying it personally.
Yeah, but she's like, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I am a new go with the flow Kim. And then Akbar is talking about how the 2 of them need to be more in sync, but it's so funny how this happens because he's like, my strategy is to be more in sync. She's like, our strategy. Like, you're literally talking about us being in sync and you're saying it's your strategy.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got a detour here. Say cheese or mule, please. And for a second, I thought no one was going to go see a mule.
I know. Which would you have picked, Sarah? Because I think my reaction would be much like all of these teams. My gut would be like, oh, mules are difficult. Like, we should probably make the cheese.
Yes and no. I understand we've seen many a challenge, a task, a leg where an animal has been difficult to deal with, but I am always going with the animal first. Like I can talk, I will be right here talking to that animal. We will be in sync. I have complete faith in my connection with the animal. So I would have tried to have taken us that way.
Great. I probably would have been on board because I've got a thing with like
you like animals.
Horses, cows. You're right. There's some kind of a connection thing that some people have. And I feel like we both have that. And turns out the mule was not that hard this leg. But
I mean, that was the choice this time.
Yeah. Yeah. But everybody initially is picking cheese.
Yes.
But then we see the Holdernesses kind of fully read the clue and digest. And they're like, actually, on paper, the mule sounds much easier. They bail and go to the mule, which they're not too far apart. They do make a point of showing us that the mule's not far from the cheese. But the Holdernesses bail and go to the mule. And the flight attendants are like, well, we should just stick with them. So then we see those two teams switch at the same time. But it's before they get into anything.
Exactly. I mean, that's the lucky part of this is that like you have to get in a vehicle and you have to go this direction for both.
Yep.
Then it's like, do you want to get off here for the cheese or you can keep going to the mule? As long as you make the decision right there in that car ride, great. And the Holdernesses realize the mule is the way to go for them. Right. But we do see interesting little strategies here because Lulu and Lala, they've left with the dudes, right? And so they kind of decide we're just going to stick with them. Let's do the cheese with them. We can keep our eyes on them, kind of that vibe. Yep. And then same thing with, is it the flight attendants? Yeah. Kim and Penn are like, we've decided to do the mule. And they are like, oh, okay. We'd rather stick with them, keep our eye on them kind of vibe. So we see that played out twice. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the thinking is there, especially on a detour where the two are so close together. Like, I understand that the detours are worlds apart. You want to stick with the team so you have some sense of your place in the competition. But like when they're that close together, like it feels like, is it really worth like sticking with a particular team? I don't know. I'm not sure what the strategy thinking was there, but yeah, it is interesting that they're like sort of pairing up here on these things. But then we start to see the cheese happening. And immediately, like Dusty's the one who's like, I know how to make cheese. Let's make cheese. And then as soon as they start, like they no sooner do they light the flame that he's like, why isn't this boiling yet? Like this is taking too long. Like this is crazy. We can't wait for this cheese. He's so impatient.
I've never seen anyone more confident in their cheese making than Dusty. He's like, I've done it. I've got it all day. We're excelling. He's like narrating. Yeah, it's got to be boiled. Then you add the milk. Yep. Absolutely. I've done it before. You stir it, curdle on the top, like acting like he's done this 1,000 times. I have never seen someone flip so quickly.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, he was like, this is the worst idea we've ever done. Like, why would we ever make cheese?
And I honestly feel like that impatience is kind of what did them in because they're just overthinking everything, like turning it up, turning it down, relighting the flame. And everyone else is just, I mean, it's Akbar's strategy, right? Slow and steady. Just chill. Let that cheese cook and curdle. And then you just scoop it out and it's not that hard. But he's like freaking out at the top.
It threw me for a loop because I was like, I understand realizing, oh, this just takes time. Like the cheese making process takes time and you get a little paranoid that the other one might be quicker. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it shook them so much that they did not follow the instructions and therefore it actually took them longer.
Yep. A lot longer. So then we switch over to the mule and we see like it's actually a little more complicated than I was anticipating because you do have to like strap the mule in properly. Like that's kind of step one. We're seeing the Holdernesses kind of struggle, but they get it first. The flight attendants have something upside down. They think it's a knot, but it's like a complete other piece. It's one of those things where like you just have to study the example and see every detail on the example and then, you know, transfer that to yours. Sometimes that's not so easy. You're not like reading physical clues, you know, you're just looking at a live example. So that's complicated. But then Penn, I love they like finish the mule and he's like, c'est d'accord. He's like speaking French to these people. I'm like, snaps for you, speaking the language. Thank you. And the mule is done so fast. And Ryan and Dusty see them finish with the mule. And it's almost like second place now feels like last place to them because they have been in the lead. So anytime they're not in the lead, they're immediately like so uncomfortable, you know, and so stressed out.
That would be, I mean, they were already in a place, but just to a normal team, being able to see another team go finish and then pass you and leave, that is so nerve-wracking. And Ryan and Dusty are like just practically melting down at this point. So just to be clear, like the Holderness, they have to do like a retightening thing, but they're okay. They go off and get it so quickly, like you said. But the flight attendants have something upside down. So they're being told no, but they're not quite figuring it out yet. So they're still strapping in their mule. Then we see Sherry and Akbar show up to the cheese and they're like, we cook. Sherry's the best cook. So confident. And we're just going to make this cheese.
Because Sherry's out there like, well, we better get the water on. Like, let's start the water boiling. Like, she's just immediately in the kitchen, right?
Yes.
So while Dusty and Ryan are like freaking out, seeing the Holderness is finished, because they're still trying to figure out like how to cook the chicken.
They're not even boiling yet.
They're not even boiling. Like the twins are very much like, we're just going to focus on ourselves, disregard the Holdernesses. That's the right strategy. And Akbar's out there like, we're cooks. We know what we're doing. It's all good. I feel fine.
And they should, because like all of the sudden, because again, I don't know how much of this is editing, but all of a sudden we start to see people pass Ryan and Dusty, and then you realize it got real. So Arun and Natalia, they're going to show up at the cheese. So many people are doing the cheese. The flight attendants, they are going to figure out their thing is upside down, get their mule, get in their clue. It's so fast once you figured out how to strap your mule in.
Yeah.
But now we see the twins finish the cheese before Ryan and Dusty.
Again, the dudes are not even boiling at this point. And the twins are done. Then the flight attendants finish the mule. Then we see the dudes are literally blowing on their pot to try to get it to heat up. Like, maybe this will work. They're just desperate for anything. And then I think even it's Sherry and Akbar and Arun and Natalia also finish the cheese. Like everyone's just scooping these huge chunks of cheese into these little baskets and the dudes got nothing.
Yeah, they were like, if you follow the instructions, cheese happens. And now we're going to go get our clue and now we're going to leave. And that's it. The dudes are like, we cannot do this anymore. Obviously, we still can't get our cheese going. No. So now they're going to switch their detour.
Which they say like it's been 40 minutes that we've wasted on this detour. Then their car backs into a rock. They can't even get up the hill. It's just like a comedy of errors. But then when they finally do get up to the mule, they strap that thing. So, I mean, it's editing, right? But they get it all strapped up. And then the mule is literally running with them. I'm like, okay, this is so easy.
I was like, oh my God, if they start having like strap problems and they can't figure out what's wrong with their mule, this is going to be really hilarious. But no, of course, they're like, nope, we got to go. And they were like, they were mule whisperers. They were like, hey, we go fast. We don't go slow. And the mule was like, cool, I'm with you. Let's do this.
Get this over with. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do one of the most exciting roadblocks I've ever seen. Oh, I love this stuff.
This was fun, but it's a lot of jumping for me from heights. So have fun.
Those were not heights, David. Those were not. I feel like you're not doing any of the
20-foot drop.
I feel like I might get stuck with all the roadblocks.
No, you might actually.
They would force you.
Because I would read into every clue as like, it's heights. Sarah, you got to do it. It's heights.
I think we would have to establish we're just alternating. And we would just have to do it. Otherwise, every single time you're like, this is heights, Sarah, it's you. And I'll be like, no, I swear this one's not heights as well. And you're like, no, I really feel like it is. Every time. And
but this one would be fun. Like it's not a bungee jump. I can see where I'm jumping. I see the landing point, you know, like you land in the water. It's all good. But you're riding down the river and you're like looking for a clue along the way. Like it seems like such a cool roadblock.
Yes, it looked fun. Ray, thank you for the super
Thank you,
sticker.
Ray. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, some people would not be down for this roadblock, it seems like.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved it. Okay. Well, Penn is there first. He's like, this is all me. She's like, yeah, it's all you. Did you see what I did last leg? She's like, don't even question, like, don't even look at me like we're gonna debate this one.
Yeah, just
She's
get in
like,
the
it's your
wetsuit
turn.
and
Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, he's like speaking French, running up the mountain in his wetsuit, having the time of his life. Like the Holdernesses are just like such great energy.
Yeah.
And they do give us the preview of like the clue is hidden underneath this waterfall. I don't know if it was meant to be in a place that's difficult to find, but everyone like seemed to find it more or less. Like Penn made
It's
a comment
bright
when he found
yellow.
it, like, oh, thank God I didn't miss that. Like, thank God I almost forgot. And it's like, I think it like kind of smacked you in the face on the way down.
It kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, thank goodness you didn't miss it because then you'd have to go do it again, which would have been interesting if some people like skip places that way.
Yeah.
But no, it's in bright yellow string. They want you to be able to see it slightly hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But while the dudes are still behind, we're getting these interesting moments with like Kayla and the twin that's left behind. I forget which one did. I think it was maybe Lala.
Lulu did it. So Lala's
Lala, Kim, Kayla. They're all talking about like, ooh, isn't this nice? It's nice not having that dude energy up here at the front for once.
They're like, you know, we feel bad. Gosh, we feel bad for them, but also like this is kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
They're like, but also, are they like losing their minds? This is hilarious.
Yeah. I was also kind of thinking at the top of this roadblock, and I was proven wrong, but I was feeling like it wasn't a roadblock where you could skip ahead of someone because it just felt maybe a little dangerous. Like some of the pathways down are very narrow. And so I was like, is this just going to be an in order kind of thing? So I was kind of happy to see that if someone like put their foot on the gas, they could pass in this roadblock.
Yeah, that was interesting. I thought about that too, because I thought, you know, the guys are now potentially catching up, right? They have finished the mule thing. We haven't seen them yet, but we know that they're on their way. And I thought, oh boy, if they get there and realize there's no passing, like you're in line, you're the next one to go kind of thing, that would have, I think, sent them over the edge. They would have been like, no, we refuse. We will jump over a cliff and we will pass you.
Yeah, no, we will drown you in the water.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
They got a bit intense here out a little bit.
But
so yes, Raquel is going. She's on the roadblock. Lulu leaves just behind her.
But they're helping each other now.
They're helping each other.
They're going together. Let's keep an eye out for the clue. We're in this. We're ladies. Like we're the all-female teams. We're helping each other. This is all good. And then once Raquel found that clue, see you later.
See ya. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah. Lulu had a different idea of how they were helping each other.
Yeah.
She's like, Raquel, right here. Here's the clue. Let me stand here and wait for you to get it.
Yeah.
And Raquel's like, cool. Let me run because we're in a race.
Yeah.
Lulu.
I kind of respect Raquel's strategy here. It is kind of like if you're working together, once you get to the point where it's no longer, it doesn't make sense to work together anymore. Like, go.
Right.
Like, now you're racing. Okay, you helped each other find the clue. That's the end of your obligation. From then on, may the fastest team win, you know?
Exactly. I understand helping to an extent, but you're still racing. This was like Hung and Chi when they stood back and waited to make sure everyone in their alliance got the clue. No, you can pass the answer along and then get the heck out of there. Do not stand there and wait. I think that's where I draw the line on helping. Yeah. But I think Lulu might have learned the lesson here.
I think she did. They soured pretty quickly on those flight attendants, I think. But we do see Akbar and Arun are the ones who decide to make a splash. Akbar on his way up, Sarah, he said he wears a size 16 shoe. We are going to be chatting with him tomorrow, and I need to know how tall this man is because I wear a size 14 and I'm 6'5".
You are very tall. Your shoe is 14. I thought he'd be your height. Yeah, we'll have to check in on that. Well, he was too tall to do two other things, I believe. I thought it was a weight thing before. Oh, maybe it was a weight thing. I think he just said too big, so I kind of thought
Too
it might have
big.
been a
Okay.
height thing, but maybe it was a
Maybe.
weight thing as well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a tall man,
Very tall.
and you know what? He's not excelling at this task.
It's slow and steady on this
Yep.
one,
He's keeping with that strategy.
Yeah.
But Arun, on the other hand, living his best life.
Oh, he's having the time of his life, and
Loving
he
it.
does pass Akbar because Akbar's,
Mhm.
he's falling, he's struggling. He does find the clue. Thank God. I feel like he is maybe the most likely to have like missed it and then I'd do it again. Thank
Ugh.
God he didn't have to do that. But then they show the map. Sarah, this map, they said Arun, Akbar, Ryan. They're like showing Ryan racing down this water, and Arun and Akbar are like not moving at all. I'm like, okay, again, laying it on thick with like, look at them catch up.
But it's probably true. Like, oh my God, the intensity when the dudes show up. First off, all the ladies are like, oh, the guys are here. And then Dusty is like Ryan like zips off, he's gotta go. And Dusty's like over there screaming to the side of like, if we lose today,
Yeah,
like Hulk
right.
smash out over to
And
the side.
I thought like Natalia was like,
yeah.
like everyone's like not sure how to handle this because you can sort of sense here that they haven't gotten to know each other really yet as teams. Like it's only been a handful of legs. Like there was one point where the twins were calling Sherry
19
Shelley.
months of group text. No?
Well, apparently not, because the twins are still calling Sherry Shelley, and it just doesn't seem like they're all friends here. Like I think maybe Kayla was like, try to stay positive, Dusty, but everyone else is just kind of like, oh, awkward turtle, like yikes, not sure how to handle this from Dusty.
Yeah, I'd just be walking the other way. I'd be like, is a lot happening over here? But Ryan's on a mission. Ryan is running and leaping off cliffs, running through water. He is moving the fast you could possibly move at this time. And Arun is doing a decent speed, but Akbar is not. So there is a point where we see Ryan has caught up to Akbar.
Ryan's gonna leave his guide behind. Like he's like, you are not making me lose this race. Like, let's go. This is a Spartan athlete, like running through water and all this stuff. I'm sure it's like he does this on a Tuesday. Like this is what he does for a living or whatever, for like an extreme hobby,
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise to see him like beasting his way through this. And he does like give Akbar the old like pat on the shoulder, like, you're doing great. And I am not gonna wait for you.
But it was like, okay, let's talk about this pat on the shoulder because I felt like it was cutting him off, right? Akbar is slowly moving through the water and Ryan knows he needs to pass him, right? But Akbar is like coming up on, a little area. Yeah, it's a little more narrow.
Yeah.
And Ryan like cuts him off and is like, you got it, buddy, as he like
it's a race.
Past him.
It's a race. You got to do what you got to do,
I guess.
And Akbar let him do it.
Yeah, I mean, Akbar just kind of like, yeah, I guess you're faster.
You're right.
I would have been like zigzagging in the water so that no one can pass me. I'd be like, what, am I slowing you down, Ryan? I'm so sorry. But I'm ahead of you.
Yeah, well,
it didn't work.
Ryan does pass him. He doesn't quite pass Arun. We do see Arun arrive in 4th place. And then
these arrivals are funny.
They are funny. It actually, even before when it was Raquel who came up first, because Lulu, I think, technically went first.
Yes.
And then Raquel showed up first at the end. Yeah. So Lala was like, Lulu. Oh, it's Raquel. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's when they realized, oh, you can pass. Okay, got it. So, see, and then Arun arrives. So Natalia's like, oh my God, yay.
Yeah.
And then Sherry's like, Akbar? Oh, no.
It's Ryan.
It's not.
And this is where the dudes, they just got that dude energy. It's like,
I got it.
Just chill, but they're like screaming and whooping it up while Sherry's like the last person there at the roadblock waiting for Akbar.
Well, Dusty, who was like Hulk smashing over to the side, now has his Ryan they can Hulk smash together, and their intensity is just off the charts. And they're like, "We're running to a kayak, let's go!" And they do. They're off because we get to inflate our own kayak and kayak to a pit stop. Yes, please.
Yes, please. And I'm sure Dusty's ready to inflate it with his mouth. Like he's like so jacked up on like adrenaline. Like, we're gonna do this. Like it's very intense. But we on the way to the kayak now, the Holdernesses are in the lead. They actually have a pretty healthy lead.
They have a healthy
lead.
See
them inflate their kayak and get on the water like without anybody else showing up, really.
Yeah.
But on the way to this kayak thing, we're getting this moment, a little bit of backstory with Dusty about how he lost his father recently. They didn't say, how, but he had like just moved and had a kid, and his dad died before he could meet the son. So this is very much like a moment for him where I was like, I'm actually glad they showed this because it humanized him in a moment where I was kind of like, ugh, like this masculine, overly masculine energy is like, not what I'm into. But this was like, okay, you are feeling your dad helping you through this, and you are like in a tough moment and you're persevering. I can get on board with that,
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, especially they're jacked up on this energy because they were falling behind, and they're like trying so hard to catch up, and they're like, they're competitive people and can't handle the thought of losing, and so they're on that edge. And then he starts to get emotional, is talking about how he talks to his dad every morning, checks in, and this, I mean, the thought of your parent not getting to see your baby when your baby just gets born, it's just like, ugh, that timing is awful.
Yeah.
Hate that. I can understand him wanting to share all of this with his dad. So it is nice to see that moment, but oh my gosh. So they're going to continue taking this intensity all the way to the mat. But we've got Lulu and Lala arriving right behind the flight attendants.
Yikes.
But the flight attendants are going to give us a little bit of info from the clue.
We need to lock our bags in the van, right? And then we cut to the twins are already down there, right? They're in second.
They're running down together, right? They're not ahead of Raquel and Raquela. They're now Raquela. They were right ahead of them.
Okay, got it. So the twins are running down, and I did love the moment where the twins are like, "Woo, go girls!" And then Lulu and Lala are like, now they're cheering, like eye roll. But then when they get down, they've got the bags, and then they're realizing like, oh, we have to go back up and deposit our bags. And Sarah, this I think is where I was missing. I just started to miss the like busy city, that kind of thing, where it's so close that like you forget to leave your bags and you trudge back up to leave them in the van, and literally every team passes you except one. Like it's that close here, this race. So any tiny mistake is like a huge game changer.
I loved it. I mean, I hated that Lulu and Lala had to go back, but I'm like now eyeing, like, has anyone else, kept their bag on? It's just them. So they are going to fall behind just a little bit, but it's not detrimental. But we do end up seeing, so Raquel and Kayla are able to get their kayak off. But by the time Lulu and Lala come down, Arun and Natalia are still blowing up, and that's when the dudes show up. So we get to see all of them blowing up their kayaks together. I get excited by that. I'm like, oh my God, we're so close. Who can do this? And guess what? The dudes can blow up a kayak super, super quick.
And they're, again, whooping it up the whole way through. It's like, just like dial it back a little. Like you don't have to be so showy in front of everybody. But they are pumping that thing so fast. And yeah, they just beasted it. They were, the flight attendants, like you say, are already gone. But I think the dudes like get their kayak going in third, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're the next ones. They pass Arun and Natalia and the twins at that time. And then obviously Sherry and Akbar are behind. But then we're going to get some editing here, trying to make it seem even closer, because it's clear that Sherry and Akbar are the last team.
But they do show up while the twins are still there. It's not like
But as the twins are leaving on their kayak,
Right.
basically.
It's not like, let me give you a little preview of Akbar in the water. He's not going to pass anyone. So
No.
he's in last. But again, with the editing, they make a great point. If he's like, they're going to have to contend with my upper body strength, and that's a fair point. Like kayaking is a lot of that. Yeah.
And Lulu and Lala are acting like they've never seen paddles before. Like they're like both just oaring in ways that don't make sense.
Yeah. I will say the one in the back did need to like realize that you're the one who has to call out what side. Like she's like, don't you know what the left is? And then the one in the front is like, I can't see you. I don't know what side you're doing. And it's like, yeah, if you're in the back. Like that's why when the row crew, like there's someone in the back who's like, or they're like in the front and can see everybody.
Right.
It's the person who can see everybody who has to like kind of direct. So you can see your sister. You've got to be a little bit more in charge. But it's just so fun to see the twins bickering like that. Like I love their dynamics so much.
I love it. I thought she was. I think it was Lala in the back because she kept saying, Lulu to the left, Lulu. And I thought Lala was telling her which way to go. And Lulu didn't know her left from her right, it seemed like, is what was happening. And honestly, that's exactly what it would look like for me and Douglas. If Douglas was in there and I'm like on the left, he'd be rowing on the right. And I'm like, whenever it's important, he can't remember in the moment.
Really? My mom is left-right challenged as well.
I don't know what it is.
She'll be like, she'll go like this. I don't know if it's going to work on here, but she'll be like, go to the right. And she's pointing to the left. It's like, Mom, what?
Whenever we're in the car, I will be like, you're turning right. I have to like do a movement because just in the moment, he will sometimes go a different direction than I'm saying. You just never know.
Yeah.
So it's hard when you can't see the person, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're ahead. Sherry and Akbar are not going to catch up. So it's just editing at this point.
It is. So then we get to the pit stop. Like we said, the Holdernesses, by the time like the twins and Sherry and Akbar are in the water, the Holdernesses are like back at the hotel. They're in the shower. They're unpacking, like themselves in, right? They had such a huge lead. They are first place. So exciting to see that. $5,000 each. So they are a family. They get collectively $10,000. Such a great prize for them. Very exciting.
No, Kim was like, I am taking this $5,000 and I'm spending it on myself and you cannot touch. No, I'm just kidding. You're like 5,000 each. Phil said 5,000 each. This is not ours.
This is mine. This is mine and that's yours. We now have split bank accounts. Okay.
Thank you. Just for this 5,000. Thank you so much. So they are obviously number one. Number two, though,
flight attendants
had a really good leg.
Really good leg. Very good. It worked out for them to stick with the Holdernesses and do the mule, right? Who knew that was going to be the easy side of that detour? They took a risk and it paid off for them.
Totally.
Very exciting for them to be in the top two again.
Raquel took a moment to pass Lulu. I mean,
got
to do what you got to do.
That's right.
They're going to be the last one of the first departure.
That's
right. We are getting that information that the next leg, first departure, are going to be just these first two teams.
But it is they're back to back here. They're all just showing up together, right? Except for that last place team. But the dudes show up. This was so funny how they're answering their questions to Phil and just peeling off their life. And the flight attendants are like, what are you showing off your muscles right now? Like, what is happening? This is so odd. And then they just keep doing it.
The camera's not even on them anymore. We get just enough to see what's happening. And now we're going to have a bit from the flight attendants and the greeter on the mat. This was beautiful. Chef's kiss. They're like, what's happening? What? Faces are beautiful. Guy on mat is like, thank you. Thank you for that edit. That was amazing.
So oh my
God. The guys are like having a serious moment where they're so Hulk smashing out that they're ripping off their clothes, talking about facing adversity. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
But they did one of the best legs of their life because of it.
It was their best performance yet. They're like dragging the kayak onto the rocks, screaming. with joy. And it's like, you've been on the water the whole time. Like, you know that you're in third place. You have seen nobody pass you, but they are just like, they're on that like testosterone,
They
and they're just
are.
feeling it. It was such a funny arrival on the mat.
It
And
was.
then
So
Arun and
good.
Natalia show up. Again, back to back. They get to announce that Arun and Natalia are number 4. And they had a very, cute thing of like, we told you, Phil, we weren't going to be last. And here we are. So that was really cute.
This is very impressive for them.
Yeah.
Arun really was able to step it up today. We got to see them. You asked for this, David. You said, I want to see them excel. Don't want to see them struggling and then just, they're eliminated. And
that's right. I mean, last week I was like, I don't want to watch another episode where Arun and Natalia are just like trailing behind the whole time. And they were just like steady and not slow and steady, like fast and steady this leg. And I'm so happy to see it from the two of them.
Yes. Books and Quirks. Thank you for the super sticker.
Thank you.
Appreciated. And then Sweet Lulu and Lala are going to come in fifth. They dropped down a bit.
Yeah, they were, they started this leg in second. Now they are going to be last going into the next leg, but it's still in, second departure for the next leg. But, it's a disappointing finish for them. I think they were like mad at themselves for not leaving their bags, because if they had not left their bags, they could have finished third,
Yeah, and mad at, staying behind to like work with Raquel.
Yeah.
I think they learned a couple lessons there. Don't help so much, and read that clue and don't make little mistakes like that.
Yep.
So before we get here to Sherry and Akbar pulling up the rear, let's say there was not a speed bump as far as we could tell.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that at the top of the leg when they were highlighting Arun and Natalia and how ready they were for this leg. And then we never saw a speed bump.
Yeah, I mean, they had a speed bump.
Harder to organize that with COVID.
They had a speed bump with the singing cups, though, this reset episode, right? They were the two returning teams that were brought back. There was a speed bump that was not shown to us.
Yeah.
So I, partially am like, was it not shown? But the fact that they finished in fourth place makes me think there just wasn't one.
I just can't imagine there was a speed bump unless it was like a 10-minute speed bump,
Right.
But note that down. And if we get a chance to talk to them, we can ask them about it.
Yeah. Well, I can ask Sherry and Akbar tomorrow as well, if there was one.
Good point.
But sweet Sherry and Akbar finally row themselves up.
Yeah. I'm sure they weren't. It's not like they were hours behind, but they're far enough behind that all the teams are gone. And, they just kind of trudge up and they know it's it. I did notice that when Akbar and Sherry ripped open that clue for the pit stop, when they were reading off of it, it said the last team may be eliminated. So I was like, oh my God, not again. But I figured it was not going to be another non-elimination leg. And sure enough, they are eliminated from the race, which, I'm sad. I made the comment last week, like Akbar and Sherry just seem to be able to sneak through every week and like not get eliminated, even when it feels like they might. But this was their time. And I think we knew they weren't going to win the race, but they're just one of those teams that like, you just love them partially because they're underdogs, partially just because they're lovable characters and have a great backstory. So sad to see them go, but I think it had to happen eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so in awe of their real life stories.
Yeah.
I am super impressed by them and I'm looking forward to talking to them tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this was going to be a hard race for them. And, they spent 19 months trying to educate, continue to educate in one of the most difficult times of our lives. So props to them for doing that. They also have their own children and probably had no time to exercise or work out or prep for this race whatsoever. So just getting the chance to do the race had to be somewhat enjoyable, I hope, right?
Yeah.
Just being able to do it.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk to them tomorrow too. That will be fun. But next time on The Amazing Race, the preview is maggot cheese.
Maggot cheese, sure. A delicate. This is good.
Sure. Yes. I mean, yes. Great.
That's what they said.
I'm sure it's a delicacy somewhere. the thought of eating maggots to me is like difficult.
Nope.
And then we also see they're giving us another preview of Ryan and Dusty struggling, and their kayak is sinking into the Mediterranean. And I'm like, okay.
Well, they're at least going to sink one time, but then they're going to catch up.
Can you cry wolf before Ryan and Dusty win Amazing Race?
Look, they legitimately were in last place tonight. They were in last place.
10 minutes, probably.
Well, that's on how good they are. Like,
no, they feel unstoppable is my only point. Maybe the Holdernesses could beat them. Side chance, the flight attendants, but they're still my favorites to win, I think.
Oh, I mean, the odds are in their favor for sure. But we've seen things happen.
Yeah, true. And the thing is, if you have a leg like this in the finale, you're in third place and you don't win. So
you don't win.
Yeah, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. I don't know if they're going to have any cab mistakes since cabs seem to be out.
Yeah.
But little things like that can still happen. Yeah. Next week, maggot cheese. We'll see about that. We'll see. All right. Well, it was exciting to have the order mix up a little bit to see some people excel, doing very well, and new people struggling. That was exciting to see.
Yes, for sure.
And David and I get to talk to Sherry and Akbar tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. So keep an eye out for that. Will be posted in the early afternoon Pacific time. And tomorrow night, I will be live with Chantel to talk about Celebrity Big Brother.
Very nice.
Unfortunately, we will not have David tomorrow, but you will be back on Monday to talk about Celebrity Big Brother.
Yes, which I saw part of the premiere. We were talking about it before we went live, and sort of maybe a slow start to the season with this premiere episode, just because there was so much time spent on like arrivals and whatnot. But that's part of the Celebrity Big Brother thing. Like you want to get to know these people, and they're fun, so
I was very excited. By the time we had all of them in the house, very excited to see this little mix that makes no sense of celebrities. I'm loving it. I'm excited. There is a second episode tomorrow, so my recap tomorrow will be both of those episodes.
Very nice.
And then we have our first eviction on Friday, so I will also be back with, I don't know who will join me on Friday, but I will be back after those episodes because we got things to talk about.
Yes.
Very fun. And then a full week next week, of course.
Yes.
So you guys in the chat, thank you for a busy night. I know you guys were probably watching Big Brother as well, but thank you for joining us for Amazing Race tonight.
We do appreciate it. And if you're joining us later, remember to leave us a comment. We love it. And let us know what you thought about this leg. Akbar and Sherry going home. Do you really think the dudes are going to continue struggling, or are they just going to beast their way through to the end? Let us know all of your thoughts.
Yes, please let us know, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, bye.
Bye.